What's up, dudes? I haven't done a Sunday conversation, Sunday podcast in a while, and I figure it was time to get back out there and just chat it up a little bit. It's been a rough couple weeks for everybody. I think we're all sort of a little worn out. I'm hoping that those of us that like working in the basement shop and getting away from it all, I've actually got a bunch of projects done. I have dug into things that I haven't touched in a while, which has been great. I posted that PRS project that I finally finished this week. And then I've got just a whole bunch of other stuff in my head that I've been able to get done. So for me, it's been great to some degree, other than the company I work for distributes food. So we've actually been really busy. And I haven't really had as much time as I wanted, but it's good to have a job right now. So I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on sort of a short-term and mid-term outlook for the guitar industry. I have lived through this once before in the 2007 and 2008 recession. I was just building up my eBay business and my guitar business, and I watched it collapse in front of my face and learned a bunch of life lessons that I figured I would share with you guys going through this. There's only so many of us that can target people who make $1 million a year for these high-end custom guitars. So at some point, a bunch of us will get squeezed out. Now, for me, this isn't my full-time job, and it's my jobby, as I call it. But for those of us that are doing this full-time, you've really got to take some steps to get ahead, continue with the advertising, continue with the exposure, or it's going to bite you. So what I saw happen in the 2008 and 2007 through 2009 recession, I was a young guitar builder. I had I had 3 or 4 years under my belt. I was doing mass-produced bodies for a couple dealers on the East Coast. I was sort of their ghost builder, cheaper than Warmoth, but better quality than the Chinese crap. So my pin router was running all the time. I was going through a couple hundred board feet of alder and other wood, just getting rawed out bodies. And then I started selling expensive maple burl topped with my stain. That's when I really started getting into my custom stains. And then I was listing those on eBay, and I was making, I don't know, like $400 to $500 a body. No one was doing the burl work that I was doing, and my business was really taking off, and I was like, oh my God, I can do this full time. And then as the recession hit and everything started to sort of falter, there were no sales. Everything dried up, and then even when I started to try and sell stuff, I ended up discounting my work so much that it was not worth it. So I just stopped selling stuff on eBay, and actually that's when I really stopped selling stuff on eBay. The fees were too expensive, and I just didn't want to do it. And then as we came out that backside in, let's say, 2009, 10, 11, 12, I was really just building guitars for myself. There's a bunch of guitars here in the office that I built during those times that I was doing for myself. I didn't even film them. I probably could do a couple videos on the 3 or 4 guitars that I have up here that I just built for myself at that time frame. But the short-term thing that's going to happen in the guitar market is essentially everything's going to stop selling. So if you have gear or you need money for certain things, you're not going to be able to sell that gear. You're not going to be able to sell that stuff. And honestly, if you can, don't sell it. Don't flood the market with your stuff. Just hold on to your gear as best you can. If you're running out of money, you want to sell your biggest, highest ticket brand name stuff that you think you get the most cash of. Trying to turn, like your made in Japan strap body for $100 versus like your full complete made Japan strap. Like, it's not going to happen. If you've got really expensive high-end gear, that stuff holds its value. Sort of the entry-level stuff doesn't. So if you're going to sell something because you need to get cash, you're going to have to sell your bigger ticketed items, but you won't get as much, but at least you'll get a bunch of cash. The problem with eBay and some of the other sites is by the time you start adding in the fees, merchant fees, you're going to take another 10 to 15% off. So your $100 item plus shipping and boxing and time is now like a $80, $75, $60-ish item, depending on all of that. So it's going to be hard. The short-term guitar market is going to be ugly, and there's going to be a lot of people dumping their gear. The best advice is to sell sort of your high-end gear or your rarer stuff than like your everyday stuff. Just keep that. You're not going to sell it. It's not going to be worth anything. The only thing that's really going to hold its value is some of the higher end stuff. So as we were coming out of the recession, I started buying a bunch of high end gear because it was so cheap. I bought a couple Les Pauls. This stuff was like pennies on the dollar when it really got bad. And I don't think it'll get that bad here. I'm thinking as we come through this, that things will sort of pick back up, albeit a lot lower than it was. But people will get back to work. Restaurants will start going. Entertainers will be able to play to some degree. So I think it's just sort of like the new normal will be 20% of what it was before. So short term, I would be really careful about trying to churn gear if you're short on cash. I know a lot of you guys are running small businesses. Just stick it out. Stop buying stuff. Don't make purchases. Exercise some good fiscal responsibility. And if you can, search eBay for some deals. If you're not cash poor, you're not in trouble. That's what I saw happening sort of in that first bit of the recession, and then sort of the midterm, sort of way back into normalcy will probably be 3 to 5 years out. If you've got longer term plans for this, keep those longer term plans much longer than you thought. So my plan for this business was that when I was 50, 55, I'd get out, do this full time. Probably I'm going to have to extend that to some degree, maybe 55, 60. I'll keep doing the videos and continue to market myself, but if I lose my job or something happens, we've got some cash reserves we're sitting on, kids' college funds, stuff like that. But I would continue to hoard as much of your money and your expenses down as you can, because the midterm is a slow build back up. People are not going to go back out. People are going to be scared. In my full-time job, I do data science. I look at numbers all day. I build financial models, marketing models. And we've been pretty fortunate to avoid some of the accelerated run-up to some degree. So New York has gotten hit terribly hard, but that's a really high urban dense area. We don't have the testing set up that we need to find sort of that next hot spot. So we've been pretty lucky. It's been interesting to watch some of the folks say what they're going to say, but not really understand what's happening. So I'm pretty fortunate. I think a lot of folks are fortunate in terms of just sticking with it. Keep your head down. Don't go crazy. But the long term is kind of unknown. I'll be curious to see what people who are into these hobbies, if hobbies will come back now that people are stuck at home. I have seen an uptick in people watching my videos. So my views have gone up. My ad revenue has dropped significantly. So it's probably about 40% less than what it used to be. So that all considered is good to have the eyeballs. The eyeballs. I've gotten some more subscribers. I've got some partnerships coming up. But I'm not thinking it's going to go back to normal for a while. So I've actually picked up a bunch of projects and invested in my business for the long term. So I've got probably another 4 or 5 projects in the basement, and then I've purchased a bunch more whiskey barrel stuff, and I'll build those and I'll sit on them. And when the economy starts to pick up, I'll start relisting that stuff. I've learned not to sell the stuff at a discount, and don't sort of ruin my reputation in terms of pricing and what I want to charge for products. So that midterm to long term is just keep your head low, sell things as you can, and try not to discount your work too much. There's no reason to do that. Don't sell something if you don't have to. And like I said in the earlier video, we're all sort of competing for that higher end buyer. All the luthiers that I know are at similar price points, are at similar sort of way one-off custom builds. Those guys will still exist. They want something specialized. I'll be really curious to see what happens with the bigger companies, because the products that will drop the most are going to be those transactional, like, hey, I need an extra guitar. The really high-end business will stay to some degree, but the transactional cheaper stuff will definitely come down first. So the high-end market will sort of stay the high-end market, but that entry-level and mid-level gear is where I'm thinking will be the sort of the biggest hit, biggest decline based on what we saw in the 2007-2009 recession. Those are a couple of my thoughts on the guitar business and where we're going short term and sort of mid-term. Long term, I think in 5 years plus, everything will be back to normal. There'll be a vaccination. People understand some of the social distancing. It's interesting to sort of see how every country handles this and what they're doing. It's been great to see some of the guys online that you would normally not get to see. I do feel bad for people who make this a living, in the sense there's no concerts, there's no performances. You know, once we figure out how to get back to that, those folks will get back to normal. It's just right now, it's incredibly painful to see sort of everyone come to a complete standstill. You know, there's essentially no entertainment. There's no basketball, there's no football, no baseball, none of that. And then, you know, my personal thing is music. There's no live concerts. Undiscovered Nashville on Instagram has run some pretty cool concerts with some up-and-coming talent that I've been watching and sort of listening to, but it's rough out there for musicians, and if you don't have a bass and you're trying to get going, it's like, it sucks. So keep your head up, man. Try and avoid all the controversy. I guess keep your head down. Keep your head up and your spirits up. Keep your head down from all the other crap, and try and not to sell your lower end gear. Try and sell your higher end gear first if you need to. That's at least will bring in you the highest amount of cash. And then there are still some buyers for that stuff. So that's my 12-minute ramble. I'll get off my soapbox. Just wanted to share some knowledge with you guys on what I saw. Maybe we'll get back into doing these. Still want to do some interviews, but I just don't have as much time during the day to do some of that stuff with my 9 to 5. So thanks for watching, guys. We will talk to you in the next video.